All right, now we want to take a look at some of the social welfare programs that the government uses to try to address these problems. And so, what we see here, we see an example. We see SNAP and EBT, which is our version of what we call food stamps. So, this is a version of nutrition assistance to help families make sure that they can afford nutritious food. So one of the social welfare programs we're going to talk about is the Earned Income Tax Credit. This is for people whose income is low enough, like when they do their taxes, they're able to subtract a pretty big number from what they owe, and this makes their tax refund get way larger. So this we can look at some of the numbers here, but this is a program that helps give people some money when they do their taxes. Now, what that means is that this is only available for people who are doing their taxes. So in order to get the earned income tax credit, you have to be working. And these are some older numbers here, but basically if you are a person who you didn't have any kids and you made less than $13,000, you might get back an extra $400 when you do your taxes there. You can see down at the bottom, if you're a family and you have 3 kids or you have more than 3 kids, you're a family of 5 and you guys make less than $50,000 when you do your taxes at the end of the year, you might get back something like $5,000. And that just helps people maybe get over the hump for a little while, try to help people get on their feet economically. Another social welfare program we've got is unemployment. Unemployment insurance is these are payments that people get when they lose their job and they're out trying to find new jobs. This helps people get by while they are not. It helps people get by while they are out of work. Now, this unemployment is available for people who are laid off. Now, laid off is different than fired. Laid off means that the business had to let you go because the business was doing poorly. This is not for people who are fired because they did something wrong. But this goes for people that are not currently working. And this usually is it's not the amount of money that you are making, but it is the benefit that you get is tied to your salary because you have the same amount of bills to pay and things like that. So this is just something that helps people pay for things while they are looking for work. Another one we've got is Medicaid. Medicaid pays for medical care and hospital services for people that can't afford health insurance. So this is for people with small incomes who qualify. The states get to set their own requirements here. So states determine what would be an amount of money that would qualify you for Medicaid here, and the national government gives a big grant to the states, and the states decide how they run their Medicaid programs. So the state, basically the national government gives the states a big chunk of money, and it's up to the states to decide how to run their program and all this kind of stuff. If the states end up spending more than what the national government gives them, then it's up to the states to raise that money. So is actually this incentivizes states to run kind of frugal Medicaid programs. SNAP is another one of our programs. This is Supplemental Nutritional Assistance Program. This is what we call food stamps because that's just what they used to be. They used to be stamps you would use at the grocery store. Now they come in the form of a debit card. These can be used to buy food. And this can only actually be used to buy groceries and not prepared food and stuff like that. But this is for people whose incomes meet a certain amount. This is funded by the national government and paid for in your taxes. And this serves almost 50 million Americans. And the benefits here are about $133 a month, which is not a lot of groceries, but it does help. It helps people get the assistance they need. Now, on the map here, you can see the states that have the highest percentage of people on supplemental nutritional assistance, and Tennessee is one of those. So we have a tremendous need for nutrition assistance here. Another one of these is supplemental security income, and this is literally just money, just income to help people whose incomes are very low, and this is for old people, blind people, or disabled people. Now, these are people that are not on Social Security. These are people who are like working, but like earning very small amounts of money here. So people that have not quite jumped into Social Security because they're not old enough or not ready to like draw all those benefits, or they still want to try and work and things. Um, but this used to be run by states, and so the states had like they were very inconsistent in like who qualified or how much you got, and that would incentivize people to like move to the state with the best program. So the national government took it over and made it the same in all of the states. And that's it's pretty typical for like a lot of these welfare programs is you want the benefits to be the same everywhere so that there's not incentive for people to like move to a place where they might earn more money for groceries or something. And the last one of these little programs that we're going to talk about is what we call WIC, which is women or nutrition for women, infants, and children. And so this is in addition to things like SNAP, and this is just a debit card that covers specific nutritious items that are approved for like very very small children here. And this covers covers children up to their 5th birthday, and is restricted in like what you can get and all that, but to make sure that we have the nutrition needed for newborns. All right, now we got to talk about our biggest social welfare program, the one that everybody's going to benefit from, and talk about some of the problems with that. So it's time to talk about Social Security. And if you are wondering, that very, very rich lady in front of the pile of money there, that's Meemaw. That's old 97-year-old Meemaw just enjoying all of her Social Security benefits despite never having a job. So the Social Security program gives payments to people that are 65 or older. Social Security also covers people that are disabled, and covers people that are like surviving members of their family. So like, if a person dies, if a person who's 65 was like taking care of children or something, and they died, then surviving members of their families would earn benefits as well. Now, Social Security, we've talked about, is paid for by a payroll tax, and that means that employees and employers both pay 6.2%. So, like, I pay a 6% tax to Social Security, and Shelby County Schools pays a 6.2% tax into Social Security, and all that money helps fund the program. Unfortunately, if people do not work for a company, like if you're an independent contractor or if you like work for yourself, you are both the employee and employer. So your taxes are way more because you have to pay both halves of that tax. So we've looked at this a little bit, but this is how it works now. We have the people paying in now, and the amount of money going in is 996 billion, according to these 2017 numbers, and any leftover money goes into what's called a trust fund. And the trust fund is like a savings account for when the amount paid out will surpass the amount of money paid in. Now, at the end of 2017 was when this number actually evened out, and so we're at the point where the trust fund is starting to be depleted a little bit since 2017. So the workers that are working now are paying now the old people that are retired. Any extra money goes into the trust fund to help pay that in the future. So it's more than just old people that are on this. Most of this money goes to people that are just over 65, but it also covers disabled people. Like the big blue circle is the old people. The green circle represents disabled people. The red circle represents the people that are family survivors and all that. And then and there's like the children's benefit as well. So like everybody's eligible, and a large percentage of people actively draw benefits from this program now, and that's what makes it really popular. You have almost 1 out of every 6 Americans getting a Social Security benefit currently. The other thing that makes this really popular is that most people that get Social Security need it. They rely on this. People plan for this to be a part of their retirement. So you see here, we take those same quintiles of income, and people rely on this as their income. The bottom 80% of all people rely on Social Security. Up at the top, very few people actually rely on this money to get by. But this is a really, really important program for 4 out of every 5 Americans. As we've talked about, Social Security has a dangerous future here. In the past, the ratio of workers to old people was higher, and so there was a lot more being paid into the program than was being paid out. So there was a lot more coming in through taxes because there were so many more workers. And now, as the number of people being paid increases, the amount being paid out is increasing faster than the amount being paid in. So about the end of 2017, early 2018, the amount paid out started to surpass the amount paid in, and so it's time for the trust fund to begin to be spent to help make the rest of the payments. What we can see here in this chart, we'll see that if we start spending out of the trust fund and the amount of people paid out continues to grow at the rates we predict, then that trust fund is going to run out very soon. So in order for Social Security to survive, we need a lot more workers relative to the beneficiaries. You'll see in 1945, this is 10 years after the program started, there were 42 workers for every person on Social Security. When this chart was put together in 2014, there were 2.8. We're probably closer to like 2.5 right now. 2.5 workers supporting each old person. And that number is going to get smaller and smaller, and that's not a sustainable program. And these are just some of the ways that we could begin to address that problem. So this shows that within the next 75 years, there is almost a $4 trillion shortfall from this program. And so there are some ways we can raise that money. A lot of it would mean that we eliminate the wage cap, which means this is the detail that people who earn more than $120,000 do not pay full Social Security tax. They only pay Social Security tax on the first $120,000. So we can make a lot of money if we charged wealthier people the full amount that all the rest of us pay. We could raise the payroll tax a little bit. We could raise the age. And some of these things would help a lot. Some of these things would only have a small impact here. But these are just a few of the options that we could look at to save Social Security for the future. All right, and there's President Trump looking ahead to the future. He's got his joggles on here, his John Morant goggles, looking ahead to the future, finding some way to fix all these problems with Social Security. Let's take a look at our bigly ideas. So we want to make sure that we are able to describe the extent of poverty in the United States. It's not important that you know the numbers, but it is important that you got, some idea of about, 10% of the population suffering, and that there's higher among children, higher among different groups, and all that kind of stuff. You want to be able to describe the trends in income distribution over recent years. So not just enough to say like rich people get richer and poor get poorer and all that, but we want to understand that the median income is staying the same while the average is going up by a lot. We want to have some idea of how much wealth is concentrated in our richest Americans here. We need to know the difference between entitlement programs and means-tested programs, and we need to be able to describe different social welfare programs that the government uses. And what you guys are good at, we need to be able to describe the threats to the future of Social Security. All right, that's it for social welfare policy. So we've gone through economic policy and social welfare policy. And we're just going to quickly run through some other stuff, a little healthcare and environment and foreign policy stuff as we wrap up Unit 4.